Welcome to Artificial Insights, where we have conversations with leaders and thinkers in AI about how AI is changing economics, work, and us. I'm your host, Daniel Maneri, and this is Season 5. This is a special episode that was originally posted as a bonus conversation with Pat Belliveau. We first had this conversation a little bit more than a year ago, and it's still very poignant. We started talking about AI and schools, and about the ways school systems may be falling short of what students need right now. Pat talked about the problem with AI detectors, the risk of putting students on trial with tools that aren't reliable, and the bigger issue underneath all of that. If AI is going to be part of the world students graduate into, then schools should think carefully about what they're preparing students for. This short we recorded with Pat last year felt like the perfect way to start the Student Special series we're doing right now. In this episode, we're bringing back Pat's perspective on AI in education. Then, we're going to share a set of short interviews with high school students about their actual experiences with AI and how they're using it, what they think about it, and how they see it shaping their future. We hear a lot about students in conversations around AI and education, but we don't hear nearly enough from students. That's why we're running this special. For now, without further ado, here's Pat Belliveau.
I think we're on a really interesting trajectory, and I hope that the school system learns quicker than they did with a calculator on how to do AI. And I know you're homeschooling your kids. I don't know. That's public.
No, I'm happy to talk about it too, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
because
very
I
interested
think,
in education.
yeah, well, I think that's what got you here won't get you there. And I think it's never been more true. And like, I'm hearing horror stories of kids being, okay, I'm going to go on like a small rant just because, I mean, this is
Sure,
education
please.
specific, but there are tools out there that are AI checkers, right? So they check the students' work if they use AI. It says right on their website, basically, don't use us. You might as well say we're completely false. We shouldn't exist. If capitalism wasn't a thing and you guys were dumb enough to buy us, we wouldn't be a business. Literally is what that should say on the front cover. But yet systems buy them left, right, side. You are now putting kids on trial, having used AI. Now, some percentage of them, yeah, sure, they probably did. But that thing is wrong. And I can illustrate this point. I used an AI thing, 4.0, and I popped it in. It said, yes, 100% plagiarized. Then I told 4.0, hey, write this to avoid the checker and write it as if, and make some mistakes just to throw it off. 0% likelihood of AI. Thanks, guys.
Amazing.
That's a really great product. So we're putting kids on trial. What are you teaching the kids here exactly? And what are we doing? Instead of saying, hey, if you don't use AI, employers are not going to hire you. That's like a real thing when you graduate.
Yeah.
So if we think of the education system as creating productive members of society, why on God's green earth would you not let them use the tools that are effectively going to be mandated by the employment market? Like there's, again, I won't name names, but a good friend of mine, she mentioned that she was going to hire, she was looking for co-ops and she uses AI. And one of the co-ops said, oh yeah, we're not allowed to use it at school, so we don't use it. So she didn't get the co-op. So like, let's think about what we're doing here, right? And let's look at the formula of what is the end goal and work backwards from there. And I think that some schools are getting it, which is good. And some and they're not all bad. I don't mean to paint everybody in the same brush, but it baffles me that a principal and a teacher who definitely probably don't understand AI are using a tool that basically openly says, we shouldn't be a thing. And if you weren't dumb enough to buy it, we wouldn't be a company. Chastise this 16-year-old who is still forming their identity. We know we have a mental health crisis within teenagers and suicide. Like, really, this is where society thinks this is the right way to add weight to them, is accuse them for a crime they didn't commit, give them no way of really proving that they didn't do it. Like, this is scary. Like, someone's going to give their head a shake and go like, this is not okay. Like, we can't do this. It's not good for them long-term, and it's definitely not good for them near-term. So why are we doing this? Maybe we need to rethink how we think about education as opposed to forcing the children to conform. And I know you get that more than anyone. And like with my 4-year-old, like I'm trying to figure out a way to not put him in the system and if we do put him in the system, I'm going to interview the school. And honestly, if I have to drive him an hour outside of wherever I got to go, he's not going to get an education that's not going to help him for his future. It's just not into it. It's just scary that you have kids graduating. They're going to be graduating in 3 months or whatever it is from university. I've never used AI. The scariest thing, they just spent like 40, 50, 60, 100 grand to not know how to use the one tool that every employer is going to ask them how to use. That sounds like a really good investment. I'm not big on ROI. I don't know a lot about it, but that doesn't sound like that great of an equation for me. Again, not a blanket statement, an opinion of one, all of the caveats, but I just look at that and think education is important and we have to educate members of society. But if we measure intelligence on information retention, then by definition, we're the dumbest relative to an AI.
Oh,
So
yes.
what are we saying here? We're just dumber than an AI? Okay, cool. So we're done. So we might as well just give up. That's obviously not true, but the idea of information retention, because I'll tell you, I was a terrible student. I mean, I had a funny thing where I didn't get into a university for business that just had me recently speak business and AI. And there's a
Amazing.
school that I can't talk about in the US yet that will come out. I'm pretty sure it would have laughed, and like laughed would have been generous. They would have fallen on the floor laughing if I would have applied to that school with my marks. And now we're doing an AI project. So the
Amazing.
reality is, just even if you're not a good student and you need to hear this, like, you're going to be fine. You just have to keep working and figuring out what you want to do. And yeah, I think it's important, but we need to stop putting our children on trial using a tool that openly says we're very bad at what we do. In fact, we're not even really like good at it at all.
We guarantee nothing.
Yeah, we guarantee nothing except, I mean, I think it literally on one of them, they were at least honest enough to say, please don't use this as the only source of proof. Like
Wow.
if that's literally not trying to tell them, please stop doing this. I don't know what is, but anyway, so weird tangent, but I think I get it's new and I get that it's going to shake some things and I get that there's a learning curve, but let's not play with our children's and our futures. It's their future we're playing with.
I started this podcast because of an image that came to me in a dream. Back when cities had walls, everyone passed through the gate. Talk to enough people there and you'd understand the city. I wanted to stand at the gate and understand not just how AI was changing, but how AI was changing us. If you know someone building or leading with AI, or if this episode was useful, an introduction, a share, or a quick review on your podcast app all help keep these conversations going and help others find them. You can reach me on LinkedIn at Daniel Maneri or by email at daniel@maneri.house. That's Daniel at manary.haus. Thanks for listening.